Good evening. You're welcome to another edition of Import Export Platform Facebook Live from 3Team Pest Trade Academy. We continue our conversation on starting and managing export business. And today I'm looking at part 89. Part 89. And I'll be looking at purchase order. Purchase order. And on the other side, talking about principles, I will be looking at another principle similar to what we talked about in the morning. And that principle is called the law of daily practices. The law of daily practices. The law of daily practices. We started by discussing different problems that a typical exporter is likely going to face in his export project. These include product issues, paperwork issues, payment issues, people, the issues at the port, packaging, profit, processing, promotion, and purchase order. Seems as if I love alliteration, right? All right. Purchase order. Purchase order. Purchase order is a very critical item. Some either do not understand what they are supposed to be asking for as far as purchase order is concerned, or they are just eager to make a sales. Because when you look at the agreements some people who enter into, it's obvious that they've not even anticipated the risk of what they are doing. It's obvious they've not even anticipated the risk of what they are doing. Being able to anticipate the risk becomes very important and extremely critical in the success of the project in question. As a matter of fact, if you are unable to anticipate the risk, sometimes people want to do a business and they say, what's the risk? And there's no risk. There's no risk. And I'll say, there's no risk. You're going to do an export project and say there's no risk. There will always be risk. Only that it can vary in shades, in sizes. It can vary in types. It can vary, but there will always be some level of risk. Even if it's just to move the good from one location to the other, there is a level of risk. And it's very important that it's anticipated and mitigated. So when you are signing a purchase order, it's good you ask very important and critical questions to be sure that you have anticipated the likely challenges you will face, put those challenges in perspective, and find a way to mitigate those risks. But always remember, there will always be risk. There's nothing you can do about that. But the beauty is that those risks can be anticipated and mitigated. The beauty is that those risks can be anticipated and mitigated. So one of the critical elements you should look at in signing purchase order is, what are the risks inside this purchase order? Now, being able to know and understand and read that risk well will be a function of what you have learned, will be a function of what you know, will be a function of the knowledge you have acquired. It will be a function of what you've learned. It will be a function of what you know. and the knowledge you have acquired. And that's just laying credence to the fact that if there's one thing you must do before you go into export business, is to be able to anticipate your risk and mitigate it. That there will be risk, that is given. That there will be risk, that is given. In fact, like I said, there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is to anticipate and mitigate that risk. So, reading, number one, getting purchase order. Number two, agreeing on the content of purchase order. Number three, understand the implication of the purchase order you've signed. Understanding the implications of the purchase order you've signed. Some don't seem to understand the implication, and it shows seriously in people. Sometimes I will see some contract, the person is even raising funding, and the terms are just lopsided. The term just shows that the other party has taken over the whole transaction. You don't even have a stake, even though you are supplying, and the person does not even have an idea of the implication of what he has signed. And he's going to take up that contract. Can you imagine? So getting the contract signed. Remember, I've talked about the hurdles you need to cross to get the contract signed. There are 5 hurdles you need to cross. The first hurdle is credibility. Can you show them a result? Can you show them a result and evidence of what you have done in the past? Number 1 is credibility. Show us a result. Show us an evidence. Show us that you have done this thing before, that you have what it takes to do it. Show us a result. Credibility. Credibility is critical. In overcoming the challenge of getting contract, one of the critical elements is credibility. If you can demonstrate credibility, you will have successfully reduced the challenge you will be facing. Sunil Rankwat, too hard to as convalesce after payment. Sunil, I'm not getting your question quite all right. Can you explain further? Can you explain further what you are trying to say in your question, so I can understand exactly what you are trying to say? He's talking about to add as convalescence after payment. Convalescence actually tends towards recovering from medical treatment. I'm trying to understand what exactly you mean by convalescence after payment. Oh, are you saying you are recovering from treatment after payment? Please kindly explain. Your question is really not quite clear, and I would really like to address it. Thank you very much. Credibility issue is a major challenge if you are dealing with any buyer. Credibility will give them an insight into what you are capable of doing. Credibility will make them to trust you. Credibility will make them to entrust the transaction into your hand. Question is, how credible are you? How credible are you? In showing your credibility, one very important aspect is very important aspect is show evidence that you've been shipped before. If you have a partner that have done it before, the reason why anybody is requested in credibility is to ensure that you are not wasting their time. That if you say you can do it, we can trust that you will do it. You are not going to be wasting their time. That's the whole idea of credibility. Credibility is having to do with result. Show us a result. Show us an evidence that you have done this before or that you can do what you are claiming you can do. Credibility. Consistency of result. The next one is character. Consistency of conduct. Why should we trust you? Why should we trust you? Why should we trust you? The last transaction you did, is there anything you can show to demonstrate character? Character is saying, this is the quantity you are asked to do, and you are able to do it. Character is saying, your word is your bond. You were expected to ship 30th of July. You ship on or before 30th of July. Your word is your bond. Credibility. 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 Show, demonstrate credibility. If you show and demonstrate credibility, it becomes a lot easier for them to want to give you that contract. If you show and demonstrate character, and this can be shown in your mail, in the document you attach, character, competence, competence. You said you can meet up the quality specification, and evidence of the last shipment shows you actually were able to meet up with the quality specification. You said you were going to be able to ship within a short time, and evidence obtained from your last shipment showed that you actually were able to ship like the last time. This is so critical and this is so important. Credibility, character. Credibility, character. Competence. Then relationship. 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 Do you have partners you are working with that can demonstrate that, okay, you have a team? Why is this important? So that we don't have a situation in which you are unable to ship because you are not feeling fine and you are the only one that will process documents, you are the only one that will source for the goods, you are the only one that will look for driver, you are the only one that will look for warehouse, you are the one doing everything from beginning to the end. If anything happens, that transaction will fail. If you become sick, become indisposed, if for any reason you are unable to, there is a disaster, water, fire, whatever it is that hinder you from going to work, you won't be able to function. The office will be shut down. The business will be shut down. Show evidence of team working with you such that when you are not available, the business will continue. Evidence of team working with you. Number 5, cash, cash, cash. Evidence that you have the cash to carry out the transaction. Evidence that you have the cash. These are hurdles you will need to cross in getting buyers. These are hurdles that you will need to cross in order to get buyers. These are hurdles that you will need to cross in order to get buyers. So it's very important you identify this hurdle and you cross the hurdles. It's very important you identify these hurdles and you cross the hurdles. In your mail to the buyer, you need to attach a full corporate offer. And the full corporate offer gives them an insight. Being able to even get the attention of the buyer, we have covered that under all the session we discussed on export market entry. So go online and check on our timeline, go to YouTube channel to be able to see all the information that will help you to be able to overcome those challenges that will hinder you from getting buyers. To be able to overcome those challenges, you need to cross those hurdles. So, purchase order is a challenge for many. Having talked about sourcing the purchase order, how about agreeing on the content? You should have an idea of what should be the content of purchase order in the first place. You should have an idea of what should be the content of a purchase order in the first place. You should have an idea. You should have an idea. What should be the content of a purchase order? Buyer, seller's name, buyer, seller's address, buyer, seller's contact details, description of goods, quality specification, packaging, pricing, incoterms, port of loading and discharge, country of origin and supply, payment terms and payment method, shipping document, inspection, insurance, special conditions, termination, latest date of shipment, latest date of presentation, force majeure, governing laws and jurisdiction. All these should be part of your sales contract, purchase order. You then have to negotiate with the party, letting them know about which of these you are okay with, agreeing on all the terms. Agreeing on all the terms. And this is so important and so critical. Having agreement on all the terms. Agreeing on all the terms. Especially on quality. In fact, if there is one area I think you should look at critically, is the issue of quality. Agreeing on quality. Why is agreeing on quality so important? Agreeing on quality is very important because sometimes the buyer want a high specification that you cannot meet with. Like I said, some people are just so desperate to sign a contract. I don't know why. Some people are just so desperate to sign a contract. Always remember, there is always a buyer for your product. If there is always a buyer, so why should I be in a hurry? Immediately the other party knows you are in a hurry, he can take advantage of you. And you know what? They've taken advantage of a lot of Nigerians. Because getting buyer is like they have won a lottery. So they want to close it as soon as possible. They want to close it as soon as possible. Why? Because they think getting buyer is like winning a lottery. Because there is a mindset in the system that tends to give an impression like it's so tough to get buyers. So if you get this one, hold it tight. Agree to everything it's telling you. I don't think you should do so. You know why? If you agree to everything and you are unable to meet up, he's going to hold that against you. He's going to use that as the basis of not even paying you in the first place. He's going to use that as the basis of not paying you in the first place. And he will be justified. He will be justified because you have an agreement of what you need to do. You were eager to sign the agreement without checking the details. And the other party just take advantage of you. He just take advantage of you. Doris Doda Dauda, thank you very much for your comment. He just take advantage of you. A lot of Nigerians, I don't know why we're just very desperate for contract. Like I said, I think it's just the idea that people have, or the impression people have about the fact that, look, it's so tough to get buyers. It's so difficult to get buyers. You see this one I've gotten? I will hold it tight. I will hold it tight and do everything possible to ensure it does not slip out of my hands. And I am saying today, categorically, that you don't have to be that desperate. And I am saying today, categorically, that you don't have to be that desperate, that you can always get a buyer. I am saying categorically, you don't have to be that desperate, you can always get a buyer. And that getting a buyer is not a do or die affair. You can get it. You just need to know what to do. If you listen to the series I did on export market entry strategy, I'm sure you are going to get a lot of information on what you need to do in order to be able to get buyers. You will get a lot of information on what you need to do in order to be able to get buyers. So like I said, getting buyers is not a do or die affair. Getting buyers is not so tough. Getting buyers is not so difficult. Getting buyers is a science. It can be learned. And it's not hidden. The information are readily available. And like I said, we have made that information available. We have made that information available. So what do you need to do? What do you need to do? Just go check it up. It's free, available for you online. So there's not much to worry about. So please, if there is still a challenge you are having in respect to how to get buyers, please remember, we have now almost 90. This is the 89th episode. Almost 90. This is the 89th episode. Almost 90. Almost 90. Meaning you have almost 50 hours, yes, about 50 hours of videos covering almost every aspect you can ever imagine. And that's basically telling you that the only thing standing between you and getting buyer is you sitting down to learn and be able to have a good understanding of how to go about looking for buyers. I'm basically saying the only thing currently standing between you and getting buyer is acquiring the knowledge and understanding the science of getting buyers for your product. Acquiring the knowledge and understanding the science of getting buyers for your product. So go back, check the videos, scroll down on timeline, go to our YouTube channel, and I'm sure you'll be able to have access to that. As I round off today, I'll be talking about the other part I often talk about. The other part. And that other part is the principles. Principles. Remember, experience is peculiar, principles are universal. So what I've done is to talk a lot about different principles that I believe will help anybody trying to get buyers from abroad. Anybody trying to get buyers from abroad. And I've talked about a number of principles in the past. Today I'm looking at the principle called the law of daily practices. The law of daily practices. Today, you are listening to me and you're an adult. You have grown to what you have become today because of what you've eaten over time. The health status you have today, the strength you have today, the way you look, healthy or frail, are all a function of what you eat. Is what you are eating you up? What you eat on a daily basis goes into your system and form part of what your muscles, bone, and flesh has become. A story is told of someone who was murdered in the UK, and this person was murdered, but the head cannot be found. And in the bid to be able to have an idea of the origin of where this person is from, they took a sample of the bone and analyzed it and found some element and component of that bone that represent a kind of rock in a particular part of the world, only in West Africa. And they narrowed down to Nigeria, and they narrowed down to somewhere in Osun State. They were not able to eventually locate the family of this person because there's no head. Head create identity, there was no head. But they were able to locate the area in Osun State where this person is likely going to come from. Now, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that they were able to trace the origin of this person because of what he was eating daily before he came to the UK. What you do daily is so important and critical to what you become. If you are trying to do export business, it's a full-time job. If you give your time, energy, in fact, my recommendation for anybody who wants to export business, for 6 months, just go and get material to read and to learn. 6 months. Just spend 6 months. The material to read and to learn are now available free of charge for you online on our timeline on Facebook page. 6 months just to read and learn. 6 months. Why? To acquire the knowledge. Those daily practices eventually will determine what you become in that business. Don't jump into it, acquire the knowledge. Don't say we are trying to market our training program now. The training program is available for you free online. So you have access to it. Just acquire the knowledge. Just acquire the knowledge. Why is this so important and so critical? It's so important and so critical because knowledge is light. Lack of knowledge, ignorance is darkness. The more darkness you have in that area of business, the more you stumble. The more light you have in that area of business, the more you thrive, the more you grow. Your daily practices contribute to what you become. Spend time daily learning about the business. If you spend 30 minutes in a day, you will need 100 days to finish the video we have online. If you spend 1 hour in a day, you will need 50 days to finish the video we have online. So that means if you are doing other things, you have to commit to this one. Why is this so important? To be able to ensure that at the end of the day, you have been able to acquire all these skills and have absolute clarity. You know, when you hear about a business opportunity, when you hear about something in life, when you hear about something and you're not able to put it into practice, the reason is basically because you lack understanding, because there is no clarity. Clarity brings understanding. The day you understand the implication of that information, you will take action. Lack of action is a sign of lack of clarity, is a sign of lack of understanding. To be clear, you must take time to think through. You must take time to think through, search to understand. The day you have understanding of any concept in your personal life, family, business, marriage, spiritual, academic, whatever it is, The sign of clarity is action. If you do not take action, there is no clarity. If you do not take action, there is no clarity. If you engage in the law of daily practices of learning about that thing every day within a short time, you are going to have light in that area. You are going to develop some level of skill and probably to moving into competence. And if you are able to spend up to 10,000 hours learning about that thing, you become an expert. Thank you very much for listening again this evening. My name is Delia Imba, and this Import Export platform, Facebook Live from Treat Method Academy. Remember to join us tomorrow morning by 8 a.m. as we continue our conversation on starting and managing export business. And I'll be spending more time now just talking about the principles for the next few days, just discussing different principles that will help you in planning your export business. So it will be basically talking about principles of export business success. Principle of export business success. I'll be continuing that, which I've started already, but just continue that from tomorrow morning. Remember this video go on our YouTube channel, 3Impes TV. Kindly visit to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like the video, drop your comment, and share with your friends. Have a good evening, and bye for now.